What's up, guys? It's me, Straw Hat Nate, and I'm back with another One Piece chapter review. This week we got chapter 1104 of One Piece, titled Thank You, Daddy. So, this chapter title continues along with the common theme of the recent few chapter titles, which is like the letters from Kuma to Bonnie. And this chapter also continues with the previous story where Kuma just was about to punch Saturn in the face, and that continues in this chapter. So besides that, which is the main event of this chapter, we also get to see some action from Sanji, Frankie, and even Kizaru this chapter. And the Kizaru situation is strange, to say the least. So without further ado, let's get into this chapter after you like and subscribe. To start, we got the cover page, and it's just a cute little scene of a male mouse proposing to a female mouse within the kitchen of the Thousand Sunny, and Sanji's in the background watching over, and he made a cake for them too. So Sanji probably wishes to be in that male mouse's position one day, to marry a lovely lady. And now the chapter begins with a slow motion scene, essentially a common trope in like any anime and manga, because before Kuma's punch lands, we actually go through Kuma's backstory once again with some quick reminders to kind of like build up the significance of the punch. So we see Clap, we see Ginny, and we see a baby Bonnie, which are just important people in Kuma's life. And then right next to the baby Bonnie, then we transition to Bonnie in the present day, who's in her natural form like a child, because she's probably too weak to keep up her transformation. And still, the punch doesn't land yet, because Saint Saturn still has time to scream about how they had to use this contingency plan to kill Kuma, and they actually did use it. But he's clearly here, alive, so it must not have worked, the self-destruct that they plan on implementing. And Vegapunk is shocked too, because he actually did program the self-destruct, and it just didn't work. But it should have, because he's a perfect scientist after all. And now, the punch actually gets to landing, and we see a double page spread of Kuma punching the shit out of Saint Saturn's face with a hockey-infused fist. But, like, how can Kuma, a robot, use hockey? Well, that might have something to do with the fact that he might have some willpower remaining. But we can't ignore the result of the punch either, because Saint Saturn gets sent skidding across the ground and crashing into some buildings, which then tumble all on top of him. So it was just a brutal hit for him. And it's crazy because it makes Saint Saturn look kind of weak and pathetic when he was seen just recently as like a strong, unstoppable force. And it is like Luffy punching Saint Charlos on Sabaody, just way more extreme because he's a Gorosei. And because of the hit, the Marines in the town are going crazy about this, because it's just an unfathomable scene. First of all, Saint Saturn shows up on Egghead, which they weren't expecting, but then he also gets punched in the face by a slave of all people. And now the Straw Hats and Vegapunk can move again, so Vegapunk has an inner dialogue about Kuma. He talks about how he did in fact implement a self-destruct system, but it's not the typical self-destruct. It's not like a bomb. Rather, it was just a shutdown program. But either way, the takeaway is that the shutdown program didn't work either. So Vegapunk thinks that it could be a trait of the Buccaneers, Kuma's race, to have a super strong will that's strong enough to go beyond even the dead. And some Marines now shout about how Luffy is gone, which I don't know where he went. He was just eating last chapter. And Bonnie hugs Kuma, who still is just a robot at this point, but she is talking to him just like he's her father, and she's telling him thank you. She also tells him about how she saw all his memories recently and how she loves like Ginny especially, and it's really just her talking to a wall though, which is just a sad scene. Then out of the rubble, Saint Saturn emerges again with an arm and a leg missing too, and he wants an explanation from Vegapunk why Kuma didn't self-destruct like he should have. And Vegapunk tells him that he did his best to implement that system, but it just must be the power of love that's making this possible, which I'm sure Saint Saturn wasn't happy with that explanation. And Saturn regrows his limb now, unlike anything we've ever seen from One Piece. It kind of just like pieces together like with gas. So he is probably just fine even after taking that huge punch along with the buildings falling on top of him afterwards. So he goes now to attack Kuma again, now that Kuma's sitting still, and he uses his pincer leg thing. But unexpectedly, Sanji comes in to block his pincer attack by kicking it away. And obviously, Sanji doesn't care about Kuma that much. He's really only caring about Bonnie. But it's kind of weird because Bonnie's 12 years old, just saying. Frankie comes next with a radical beam that shoots straight through Saint Saturn's chest, which is a huge showing of Frankie's strength. And now, unlike all the theories from the fans, Admiral Kizaru tries to protect Saint Saturn by fighting with him. We were all hoping that Kizaru would become a good guy since he has so many friends on the good side and he was feeling sympathy for them, but it seems that he's still just being a puppet for the world government. They gotta get Kuma out of here now though, because he can't move anymore, so we see Atlas taking him away. And back to Kizaru though, which is more important, Vegapunk expresses his hate for Kizaru, saying that he's a sad man, and which I kind of agree with. Kizaru says he should have brought darker glasses, which could mean that he's tearing up because he's regretting his decision to fight against his friends, which means he could be just pretending to fight for Saint Saturn and then he'll possibly join up with his friends again later since he's crying about it. But that might just be coping for me, who wants to see that happen. Finally, to end the chapter, the announcement of a buster call has been made, so the ships start firing on the island. And this is more than just any buster call though, because remember, there was an abnormally large fleet of ships sent to Egghead, and Saturn ends it by saying that Vegapunk, the traitor of the world government, Kuma, the last buccaneer, and Luffy, the awakened sun god, must all be eliminated. So that's where the chapter ends. The chapter did seem short, but it's just as stuffed with content as any other chapter. And the Kuma punch was super satisfying because I think no one likes Saint Saturn at this point. And Sanji and Frankie holding their own against Saint Saturn for at least a little bit was a cool thing to see. And I kind of glanced over it earlier, but Bonnie and Kuma's first time seeing each other again was a sweet little scene that was really important for Bonnie's character. And you know I'm still holding on to the theory that Kizaru is really just tricking Saturn and that he's actually a good guy. Lucky for us, there's no break next week, so we get to see soon enough if Kizaru is pretending or not. Or we could also get to see next week if Luffy rejoins the battle because he just disappeared, remember? So if you made it all the way to the end of the video, like and subscribe because it will help me out greatly, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.